Dí a Colin Crehan, as far as Sportsline on Scariff Bay Community Radio. Good afternoon, everyone. You're welcome once again to the Sportsline show here on Scariff Bay Community Radio in association with their credit union on the 88.3 FM and 92.7 FM and on the TuneIn app. And on today's show, I'm joined as always by co-presenter Pat McNamara. On today's show, we have a real kind of a Tulla flavour, especially with the win of St. Joseph's Tulla in the Harty final last Saturday. We're going to be joined by their winning captain, Ronan O'Connor, and the manager, Terence Fahy. We also have a look at the progress of Tulla Athletics and their recent successes with Eugene Conlon. But first of all, we're going to be joined by the newly crowned four-wall champion from the Belfast tournament, Colin Crehan of Kilkishen. Colin, you're welcome once again to Scariff Bay Community Radio.
Leo, thanks for having me. It's nice to be on now.
First of all, Colin, many congratulations. The first tournament of the year. It is always nice to put a notch on the board, and you know it's probably your first really elite title. You must be delighted and proud of your achievement.
Yeah, delighted now. As I say, it's first senior tournament. It was a big one, but it was not the biggest one. But yeah, definitely delighted to get it because you know senior handball is such a graft to try and work your way up the rankings. So you know, just delighted to go over the line in the end.
Yeah, and Colin, you know, as we all know from the handball, there's very little between all the top players there, and you know, no doubt you won it the hard way up in Belfast, had to beat all the top players, and then eventually came up again a man you knew, ironically, quite well, your doubles partner, Diarmuid, in the final, and I suppose that you would have practiced more with him than with any other people. It must have been strange, or was it maybe more relaxing to play Diarmuid in the final, without any disrespect to Diarmuid?
Yeah. I suppose like it's unusual. Like you know, we are training partners. I suppose it probably wouldn't be normal that two of the top players would play each other so often. Like you know, because we're double partners. We play nearly once a week, or maybe once every 2 weeks. So you know, I think I was saying earlier, like it was nearly a bit comforting knowing that, you know, I kind of familiar enough with Diarmuid's game. I just knew I had to play my best, had to bring my best handball really to beat him. I was kind of well aware of that. So lucky enough, and it went well for me in the day. Two things didn't go Diarmuid's way, and you know, it wouldn't have taken small margins. I know it's probably a cliche, but it could have easily gone the other way. You know, especially when it goes to a tiebreaker.
And Colin, as you said, you know, you play with Diarmuid quite a lot, and you know, to play at that elite level all the time, you know, obviously there's maybe from the top four down, maybe you've got to the top eight. How many of the top players would you play in friendlies, shall we say, if there's ever a friendly, but you know, to keep yourself at the highest peak?
I suppose Diarmuid's probably the one I'd play the most regular. There will be other players around. I suppose I'm thinking down the top. In the top 10, like I suppose it's funny, there'd probably be small, but I wouldn't say maybe tension between us. I don't know, we wouldn't really ask each other for games. I'd probably play the other players around Dublin, like Darren Harty, playing Ryan Mullen, and I'd be playing, you know, fellas like that. You know, I'm probably lucky that, you know, I have Diarmuid. I know I'm lucky that I have Diarmuid to play because, you know, I think of the other handballers around Sunshine, you know, Charlie Shanks and probably Martin. Now, they're obviously top players, but I suppose they wouldn't have the same luxury of having a top player nearby to play on a regular basis. Like, you know, and like playing Diarmuid regularly, you know, elevates both of our games, and you know, it's hugely beneficial to have. But yeah, outside of him, they wouldn't really be in the top 10 anyway.
And Colin, you know, obviously going forward, there's no doubt by defeating Diarmuid, I suppose, subconsciously, there's no doubt it's going to motivate him even more to get back even at yourself and the others as well. But also, it's going to be a driving factor for you, the fact that you're now elevated to number 2 in the rankings, and there's probably the target is on your back now as well. And you know, I suppose, would you feel added pressure, or look at it, just take it as it comes?
No, I take it as it comes now. suppose I know I'm number 2 now, but I suppose I won't be happy until I'm number 1. Is so, you know, as far as I'm concerned, the target's on Martin's back. So, you know, I think everyone's kind of gunning for him. But look, you know, I suppose we're just happy again to get it to go over the line the last day. But like, I know there's, like I still have a good bit of work to do, you know, for the championship, because, you know, it's like even the hurling at league and championship. You know, championship brings out a different level in everyone. So, you know, you just have to be ready for that. And you know, hopefully I will.
And Colin, what's next on the horizons? Obviously, you're speaking about the championship, and obviously that's in early March or whatever. What's the procedure from here on into leading up to that?
Yeah, well, I suppose the Irish Nationals 2 weeks ago, that was the last ranking tournament. So essentially, everyone's ranking is in place now, and it's the championship is next. So that's the next thing in line. So the first round will be on the weekend of the 6th of March. And, you know, it'll be probably the last 16 or last 32 round that weekend. So, you know, that and straight knockout. So I suppose, you know, all I'm worried about now at this stage is that weekend, you know, and getting in shape and getting, you know, just fine-tuning a few things before then. And, you know, I suppose, that's the first round. And, you know, if you win that, you're playing the following weekend. If you win the following weekend, you're playing the final the weekend after that. So, you know, I suppose it's a quick enough turnaround, but, you know, as no cliche is take one game at a time.
And Colin, with regards to doubles with Diarmuid and yourself, does the singles obviously they don't all take place at the one time? Obviously, the singles is played first and the doubles is played at a later date.
Yeah, no, they take that after. So I think there's probably a week or two between the singles final and then the doubles will kick off. And again, it'll be all run off over a similar time frame. You're talking over 3 weekends. So, and again, straight knockout and what have you. Yeah. So, you know, we're still, you know, that's I know it's the singles at the forefront of our minds at the moment, but, you know, we're defending champions in the doubles. So, you know, we're gonna do our best to hold on to that.
And Colin, you know, obviously you're playing the games yourself. Who do you look to most for the advice and coaching outside of obviously you're a self coach anyway, but you'd know probably everything that there is to know. But if you need the advice and that extra bit tips, who do you go to?
Yeah, well, I suppose I'll probably see most of my games now with my dad, so I suppose he'd be the first point to call. But you know, even with Diarmuid, I suppose he might regret it now, but he's given me a lot of advice and a lot of tips through the years, especially when I was first coming onto the scene. So it'd be him, and I suppose, like, you know, I'd be always hopping things off. I suppose that's on him as well. Like, you know, he would my coach is a juvenile and up to minor, so, you know, he would have been kind of from Kilkishen, like he would have been, you know, the main driving force behind me getting to the level I am. So, like, you know, anytime I can get his view on a few things, I'd always be in touch with him. But outside of that, then it's kind of, you know, it's just kind of watching the games yourself, really, and it's, you know, it just kind of identifying it. You know, I'm picking up on the few small things that aren't going right. But great nowadays, you have kind of all the videos of games, like, you know, so they're on Facebook to review.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. It's one great thing. Like, it was great to be able to sit down at home and watch Diarmuid and yourself battling it out in the comfort of sitting in the chair at home. And it's great for the promotion of handball, and great to see two Clare players at the very, very top.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. Yeah, especially the live feed is brilliant, and, you know, especially on Facebook as well. Like, you see, I even might be looking back at them, you can kind of see, you know, you see people who tuned in, you'd be thinking, Jesus, you didn't think they'd ever have any interest in watching handball. But, you know, it brings that out in people, and people love, I suppose, the fact that Desmond Diarmuid from Clare as well, you know, and Clare being such a stronghold in it, I suppose. You know, it's great for people to be able to see them, because, you know, Belfast is a long trek for anyone that would have an interest in watching the game. So, yeah, at least it's there for, you know, it's a resource there for people to watch and, you know, give the game a bit of promotion.
And finally, Colin, you mentioned, of course, your greatest coach and your greatest mentor, there's no doubt, your father, Tom, and a very proud moment for you all, when you lifted that trophy in Belfast. It was the culmination of many, many, many years. You're at it a long, long time, and, and a lot more to go, and bigger fish to fry as bigger titles to win. It must have been a very proud moment for all the family.
Yeah. Look, everyone's delighted. Yeah, the younger brother Mark up as well. So, I had a good entourage behind, like Kevin Callahan there from the Mills, and Ben Murray from the Mark was there, and Christy Philpott was even up to watch it as well.
Yeah,
so,
good to see Christy back out and back to full fitness again too.
Yeah, it's delighted. So when you see people like that making the journey up, and it does drive you on. And sure, look, I was delighted, but they were equally as delighted for to put Kilkishen on the map and all that. But look, yeah, just delighted that to win the first senior title.
Yeah, and I suppose now that you've got a taste of winning the first one, and you'll want an awful lot more. And Colin, the clock has caught up on us here. It's been an honour and a pleasure to talk to you here on Scariff Bay Community Radio. I know you're number 2 in Ireland at the moment. I have no doubt that there'll be many a battle ahead, and it's going to come down maybe to Dermot and yourself in the final again to see who's going to be number 1 and number 2, and what a battle that will be to look forward to. Colin Crehan, Cormila Magot.
You're listening to Sportsline on Scariff Bay Community Radio, 88.3 and 92.7 in East Clare, around the world on scariffbayradio.com, and on the TuneIn radio app. Sportsline is sponsored by Derg Credit Union.
And now, thanks again to Colin Crehan for taking the time to talk to us. Now we move from handball and we go to one of the men that was heavily involved in one of the greatest events ever in Clare hurling. It was the Harty final in the Gaelic grounds last Saturday. And what a victory for St. Joseph's Secondary School in Tulla. And a man who was central to that as leader of the team, but also gave an impeccable performance out as a centre field, a real leader, a man of the match display. Ronan O'Connor, you're welcome to Scariff Bay Community Radio.
Thank you, Leo. Pleasure to be on it now.
The pleasure is all ours, Ronan, to be quite honest about it. And look, it is great to have you on. And first of all, many congratulations to you and the team on a massive victory, and also to yourself on the leadership qualities you showed by gaining a minute. And I know you men of the match display you could for the team as well, but you led by example. Many congratulations. It's a few days out, Ronan, from the final. I suppose obviously everybody is talking about it, and your heroes and all that. Is it still very much in the mind? It is.
It is, of course. Still, I think for most of us, probably hasn't set in that much, but just the absolute of the chaos of it all now, and the support we've all gotten has just been unreal. So to be honest, the last few days, we're still soaking it in. So yeah, it's been incredible now.
There's no doubt, Ronan, they talk about all these great Harty finals with Clare teams in 52 and all the Flannan Stevens, the 70s, the 80s up along, and all the titles they've won. But I think when history in time will be very, very kind and will make this final probably one of the more special finals that ever took place in Harty, Ronan.
I think so. The first time, this 4-game win streak we've been on is the only 4 wins Tulla ever have in Harty. Like, as in setting out this year, Tulla, never won a Harty game. So I think definitely, there was every game we won was history in itself. So to go the whole way was just unreal.
Yeah, and to beat the 4 teams you beat, if you wanted to pick out the hardest way to win it, you couldn't pick them out any harder than what you done. And it's a tremendous feat for the players and everyone, and it's better you were getting in every game, and even last Saturday, the victory never looked in doubt.
Exactly, yeah. Oh no, you said it. We couldn't have picked 4 harder teams and bigger names, as we call them, but yeah, no, I thought last Saturday was probably our best performance. We probably peaked at the right time, in fairness. If you looked at our first half playing against the wind we did, to be only down 1 point was, that was huge to the win. So, yeah, unreal.
Ronan, Pat here. Again, heartiest congrats. You must be tired of hearing that at this stage. But look, just a question I was kind of wondering. We'll say you've been playing with Fecal Killeen all through your career at club level, and that's a different dynamic, and you die for the jersey. But it's probably different, I suppose, playing again with lads from different clubs in East Clare and East and kind of Mid Clare, I suppose. Lads you got to know in secondary school and play it together there. So it's a different dynamic with the school, isn't it? You're talking about a whole region, you're talking about different sets of supporters supporting you. So that must be nice to get away from the club scene occasionally and have this fantastic success with your school and all the friends from other clubs.
Yeah, exactly. It is honestly unreal to play with. Like, that's lads you never get to play with, and you're used to. Most of the boys I'm playing with in those teams were taking the heads off each other on the weekends in club games. So it is serious now to get to play with them and get such a good crew together to play. So yeah, it's very different, but it's brilliant. It's a brilliant opportunity.
And Ronan, growing up yourself with these lads since you were in first year, whether it's 13 to 18 years, wherever you are now, could you yourself sense this building up a little bit? I mean, you weren't going to say you're going to win the Harty Cup. Could you sense there was a really good basis for a very good senior secondary school team there, say 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah, to be honest, since we came in, like, school wouldn't have won a first-year county title in a good few years, and like the team we had, we won it, and we would have beat 2 Flannan teams that year, and like we would have fairly fancied ourselves. But I suppose then, as I said, we won the under 16.5 Munster B title fairly handy, so we were always kind of eyeing up this. When it came, we weren't planning on letting this chance slip by. So yeah, we would always had that belief, but to go and do it was another thing, and was just unreal.
Great. And of course, the other thing, to have such a bunch of players together is unbelievable, as you've said, and correctly so. And your speech afterwards and your interviews afterwards, you give great credit to them. And also, of course, to have, I suppose, to coincide with the good bunch of lads coming up together in Tulla Secondary, you have the 3 men that took the mantle of mentoring, and you couldn't find 3 better lads, I'd say.
Oh, you said that we could not, if we tried, have 3 better. They could not speak highly enough of each of them to a man. Like, not only just how much they care, the commitment, it's everything, the attention to detail. It's honestly, the 3 of them together are faultless. And I said it on the speech, and it's like absolutely true. We would not be anywhere without them. We would not probably have even been playing in this competition without the 3 of them. So yeah, you couldn't get better if you tried. So extremely grateful to them all.
Ronan, Leo here again. Ronan, I remember being at the game you played Flannan's a couple of years ago in Cusick Park, and I just thought on that day, it was level with 10 minutes to go, right? And I kind of sensed that day that there was something here on the horizon for Tulla. Now, did I see winning a Harty? I wouldn't have been 100% sure, but I saw him going close and thought to go close enough. I thought it just maybe a little bit of lack of belief on the day. But do you think that looking back maybe on a match, something like that, you'd say you were so close that, look, it is possible to take this?
Definitely. Playing in that a couple of years ago, and there would have been a few of us. There was, I think, 5 of us who played the Harty final who played in that too. So definitely playing that showed us that although we did end up losing the Flannans by, I think it was 9 or 10 points, that playing that year and playing Flannans did show us that we were not that far off it. So definitely, and I think it would have showed the 3 boys as well, the managers a lot as well. So definitely that would have stood to us in that Flannans game in particular. 100%, yeah, helped us out this year.
And Ronan, you gave a marvellous speech after the game, and I don't think you forgot anyone in your speech, and how you could do it with the emotion of the victory that was in it. But the scenes on the field and the scenes back in Tulla on Saturday evening were, unbelievable. They were.
I still can't believe it myself, to be honest. The support we have and everyone who came to the match, and then at Tulla Street that night, it's just. Honestly, we were talking about it only the other day, today in school, like how lucky we are, like, to the people for supporting us, because, as I said, winning this whole thing is just obviously incredible in itself. But like them coming to the numbers they come into the match, and then on the nights out and everything, they make it 10 times better. So honestly, it is all it's what we're doing is for them at the end of the day. So we're so grateful.
Absolutely, Ronan. There was fantastic scenes. I mean, I have to concur with Leo. Your speech and your interviews afterwards were absolutely dead on point and brilliant for a young man like yourself to be able to do in such a high emotional situation. But I wanted to ask you was, the way you played our school after the first 3 or 4 minutes, you seemed to nearly be without shadow of a doubt know exactly what you were doing. And I just want to ask you, in this modern age, the way there's management and psychologists and all kind of people advising players, did you envisage exactly how this game was going to go in your head? Could you see in advance how you were going to stop their danger man, how you were going to attack? And could you see, had you kind of an idea in your head how this game was going to pan out? Because it looked like to me you had left nothing to chance and were really well prepared.
Exactly. We did, from the individual, different battles that the 3 lads would have had sorted out and, had certain men detailed to whatever tasks. And then it's been a feature of our games. We tend to play against the wind in the first half, which obviously happened again, and just with the absolute plan to just try to work like mad in the first half and limit the score, which is exactly what we did. And we always know then, we knew with the wind behind us in the second half, we were always gonna push on. So yeah, I think definitely that game went exactly how we planned it. Like when we get them 15 minutes left against any team, we know we're going to win that game.
And that'll be so vital in the next 2 steps you have to take, which there will be 2, I'm certain, to know, with maybe a little bit of work to do with 10 or 15 minutes left, deep in your hearts, you have what it takes to finish off the game.
Yeah, I do, and I think that's something that's been building, you said, since, we came in the first year. We have done that many times, and, playing together this long, this group has been, our managers would have had the statistic, but we've had the spine of this team has been playing together for many years, which other teams wouldn't have at all. Like when we've had CBC, they would have only had, I think, the 5 that were playing in first year or even less. So I think playing together for so long has stood to us. And yeah, when it's been something we've done a good few times now, is come back in matches. And, you've seen we've been down 5, 6, 7 points. We don't panic. We know that we do have it in us. So yeah, that's been huge, and that's another thing that we credit massively to the 3 lads, Mr. Fahy, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Hart, because they always tell us that we have every chance, and they're probably the ones who do make us believe it most. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and Ronan would say, I know the draw has been made. From your own point of view, and it might be an unfair question, would you fancy playing Gort, who you might have a local rivalry and know a few of the players quite well, or would you think you'd fancy playing absolute college royalty in Kieran's? I mean, it is Kieran's, isn't it?
Kieran's, yeah.
In your own mind, is there any of those teams to prefer, or does it matter at this stage? Is it all about Tulla?
I think, as what you said, it probably is at this stage all about us, and we don't, to be honest, we don't really care at this stage who's put in front of us. But yeah, there's pros to both. We probably wouldn't mind an old derby with Gort, have a few of the same men about.
Yeah.
But then, Mike, it would be nice to get Kieran's too, another very big name who's probably fancy themselves. So it's a win-win for us, I think.
I tell you, Ronan, it is a win-win, and it will be a win-win, because I don't think any team, any college team in the country will want to play Tulla. Obviously they're going to have to play at some stage to win it, but I don't think they'd fancy their chances, about that. Ronan, just a quick question off it. Where does the books fit in this? Are they gone by the wayside for at least another month?
The books, Leo.
Those things called school books, Ronan.
Come here, Ronan. We've delayed you long enough. In fairness,
from his studies. Yeah,
it's been absolute honour and a pleasure to talk to the winning captain of the 2022 Harty Cup winning team in St. George's and Tulla. And I don't think we've seen the last of St. We definitely haven't seen it, because there's going to be a semi-final. I think Park and Crow kick it beckons, and as I made a prediction last Saturday, I think that the same 2 teams that played last Saturday could very well appear in Crow Park in about a month's time. And Ronan O'Connor, look, you made a brilliant speech in the Gaelic Crowns last Saturday, and I look forward to hearing your speech in Crow Park in about 4 or 5 weeks' time. Will you lift the Crow Cup? Ronan O'Connor, has been a pleasure to have you here on Scariff Community Radio.
Thank you, Leo.
Thanks a million, Ronan. Great to have you. Brilliant. You're listening to Sportsline on Scariff Community Radio, 88.3 and 92.7 in East Clare. around the world on ScariffBayRadio.com and on the TuneIn radio app. Sportsline is sponsored by Derg Credit Union.
And once again, thanks to the captain of the winning St. Joseph's Tulla secondary school team in Tulla, Ronan O'Connor, for taking the time to talk to us. And we go from the captain to one of the generals. And once again, you are now joined on the line by a member of the management team, man very good to us here on Scariff Bay Community. Always gives of his time, no matter how busy he is Terence Fahy. Terence, you're welcome back once again.
Thanks, lads.
Congrats, Terence.
Great to be back talking to you. Thanks, Pat. Thanks.
Yeah. And of course, on this occasion, a winning mentor and manager of the St. Joseph's Secondary School team, who were Harty Cup champions for 2022. A nice accolade, Terence, and many congratulations to you and all.
Thanks a lot, Leo. Yeah, it's a special few days in the school, and we had the day of days last Saturday in the Gaelic grounds, and just really, historic and special, and just it's really special because there was such support for the boys, and there was such investment from everybody in East Clare, and indeed Clare itself, and there was huge goodwill towards them, and they delivered, and they really put in a great performance, and they got the cup at the end. And they've done a lot of great hurling throughout the campaign, and they've played in a lot of epic matches. But oftentimes, as you all know, you can come up short at the end, and you can have nothing to show for that. But that wasn't the case on Saturday. They were very determined that they were going to finish the job in the Harty Cup, and they did, and we're immensely proud of them, and I think they're really savouring it now at the moment.
And of course, Terence, it's great when you come out in a final and everyone does their job, and to play arguably the best hurling you played all year on the biggest day and the biggest stage is testament to those lads, and testament to the preparation put in by all.
Well, testament to those lads, certainly, and I think people who would have followed the team can see that the team is improving match on match, and they're getting a little bit more confidence, and they're gaining a little bit more belief, and their hurling is getting a little bit crisper, and so really, really special that they could. It was an immense team performance on Saturday. There wasn't a weakling, or there wasn't a. There wasn't a problem really in the performance. It was just kind of they were on it. As a unit, they were on it. They backed themselves up immensely throughout, and it was different for young lads. There was a couple of thousand people there, and there was huge. They marched behind the Tulla pipe band, and there was huge goodwill and huge support, but we weren't under pressure, I suppose. Artskull were the team that were under pressure, and the sense of expectation surrounded Artskull, and our lads they had a free hit at it really, and they had nothing to lose, so they took it on and they went at it with relish, and it was great.
Terence, one of the factors of, I thought, watching the way you played was this. And I thought so more Sunday, having watched the senior county league games, in that your tackling was ferocious and it was, utterly intense. But yet, you were tackling without giving away stupid fouls. I thought there was a great control and a great method in your tackling, as in no lacking in intensity, and yet there was no stupid stuff around the neck or stupid soft frees. And is that something you'd work on? I know you don't want to take credit for anything yourselves as such, but, it looked to me that's a strong part of your game. Great tackling, no giving away stupid frees, good discipline.
Well, it's a big part of, it has been a big part of our season, the discipline, because it really cost us in the early rounds, particularly cost us the day down against De La Salle in our first round when we lost, because after 20 minutes of that match, De La Salle hadn't scored from play, but they still, I think, might be 6 points to 5. They were up. They had all their points got, and we had all the poor, cheap, lazy stuff that you're talking about there, Pat. We had those little tendencies earlier on in the campaign, and thankfully, as we kind of got through matches, and we had them against Fermoy in the second round for the first half also, where our discipline wasn't near the standard required, and it began to straighten itself then, and it has got a little bit better, incrementally, week on week, game on game. Now, I would also say on it that I think that the referee did a fantastic job on Saturday. Now, it's easy for me to say that, but he let it go on both sides.
He did, yeah.
That's true.
And he let it be a contest, a physical contest on both, and let both of them go at it as hard as they could. And I think that played a role too. He wasn't pulling for silly. He wasn't there. Exactly. It was a cast iron free. He wasn't going to be stopping the play and stopping the run of the contest, which was, which added to the.
Indeed, and it wasn't trying to be the centre of attention
to the game.
But having said that, it's also worth adding, and it's important to note as well, that I mentioned that first, but I mean the quality of the hurling as well. The actual skills involved of all the skills of the game was highly evident, and I mean each player was so comfortable on the ball and so comfortable with their striking and their control. I mean that it's not just the physical team to turn into, against better teams. Your hurling is of the highest quality as well, and to do it on the big day is in the big stadium. When the chips are down and the trophy is up there and the stand waiting to be won, that's the day to produce it, and they did. So look, at that has to be noted as well, Terence.
Yeah, they did, absolutely. But they're I know that earlier on in the campaign we had problems. We weren't scoring freely, and I think against Fermoy we didn't score in 60 minutes from play. But there's loads of hurling in the team. There's loads of hurling in the playing group. They're well able to hurl. They just, I suppose, have to back themselves to go out and bring it, which they did and which they do. And there's loads of ability there, loads of it. We're not, I know that we have people on paper might be looking, and saying, well, there might be weaknesses there, but there certainly are not. There are not weaknesses there.
You wouldn't win, as you well know, Terence, you don't win a Harty if you have weaknesses and at any time. And in fairness to every one of those lads, they played out of their skins last Saturday. And as you said, plenty hurling in that team, and the confidence that they will gain from this victory, not only for St. George's Tulla, hopefully in the All-Ireland semi-final, but going back to their clubs and going back into the county level of which you're heavily involved in yourself at the moment, it's going to just increase their ability, and everything will be positive relating from it.
Yeah, well, it certainly won't do them any harm. But the nature of the individuals in the team and the nature of the players that's the starting point here, and it's nothing to do with anything. There's there are huge fighting qualities. There are huge determination streaks in those players that that they had before they ever came into the school in Tulla. And there's just some great steely characteristics in the group, and we're very, very lucky with the group that came along, and they have showed up all throughout from first year all the way through. They've got to the final stages of every competition that they entered. So they didn't lack much. They didn't, absolutely. Did we think we were going to be winning the Harty Cup? Very few did we think we were going to have a right cut at it? I would think everybody thought we would have a right cut at it within our group, but to actually go on and win it. But yeah, two things there. You're dead right. You won't win a Harty Cup there. You have classy hurlers, number one. But number two, it was massively helped by the nature of the players and the characteristics that they have, because they were down in many games, and they were in tight corners, and they just have a great resilience, and they have a great bit of grit about them. And we know them since they were in first year. They kind of, a lot of that was in their character when they came in the door. It was kind of innate, and instinctive in them. So it's a massive reason why they're Harty champions, because they were down against Fermoy. They were down against CBC. They were dead and buried in both those games. And they came through them, and then they got a bit of confidence. And then they got a bit of real, they got a bit of real belief. And going back to the LSL was a huge game for them, because we knew we were good enough to beat them, but to go on and actually do it when you know that you're good enough to do it isn't always an easy thing to do. So no, a very special group. That's I suppose what I'm trying to say there in a long-winded way is there's a very special collective there,
and there's a great
with characteristics.
And there's a great bond, Terence, between them all. You could see that, their fighting qualities, great bond between yourselves and the players of the management and the players also. And Terence, the scenes after the game and the scenes, we said it to Ronan as well, the scenes in Tulla, and look at you couldn't get an evening with weather as bad, but the scenes in Tulla on Saturday evening, nothing could dampen the spirits and the emotion of the whole occasion.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And coming back in the bonfires and the rain, the bonfires at every crossroads on the way back from Clooney to Tulla, and the rain pouring down, and the pipe band. We had hoped to march up through the whole town, but we had to go to Plan B there because they were going to get drowned, and we had a reception planned inside for families in the community, which went very well. And no, the scenes, I suppose, we weren't too bothered about the aftermath of anything all throughout the year, but we were kind of anxious that if we were in the Harty final, that the aftermath would be, should be quite properly done, and should be, should be choreographed very carefully, and it was. And sure, those were the formalities. We went back to the hotel for 2 hours on our own, just the playing group, and then all the families went back to the school for a reception, and then we met the pipe band. And it was just a really, really, really wonderful evening.
Yeah, and one never to be forgotten. And as we said, in history and time, that Saturday will be talked about in folklore. But however, Terence, the journey is far from over, and there's bigger fish to fry. And now St. Joseph's Tulla in All Ireland semi-final against either St. Kieran's or Gort.
That's right. That's in 3.5 weeks' time, on the 5th of March, and we have a few bits and pieces going on this week. The bits and pieces that come with I suppose the trappings of success, the cup going maybe here or there. People want to fall in around it, so that's going to happen this week, and that'll be great. That'll be special.
Has to be done.
Has to be done, and it'll coincide with mocks for the lads. We've a lot of the lads doing mocks. Not that they're too stressed about that now, but then we've 3 weeks. Then we have a window to take them down, to take them back up again, and we play either Gort or St. Kieran's on the 5th of March. And isn't it? It'll be spring. It'll be spring then, and it'll have rattled the winter.
A grand old stretch in the evenings, hope it turns. Now, just to mention the semi-final, either way it's going to be special, because Gort is only up the road, and South Galway and East Clare would have bits of rivalry because they play challenges, and some of these lads, of course, would know each other through club hurling as well. So that's the neighbours up the road. Right. Would be a great attraction for everybody. And then, of course, Kieran's, as we said to Ronan, would be the absolute creme de la creme, the aristocrats of colleges hurling in so many ways, and the players that produced over the years and the team. So look, at either way, it's something to massively look forward to.
Absolutely, and I suppose we'll know the outcome of that game in 2 weeks' time. I think it's the 19th of February that game is on, and that'll be defined for us on that day. But it would be godlike if Gort bet St. Kieran's now, there would be some chat and there'd be some buzz around the place. And sure, there'd be any amount of angles now, and sure we'd be seriously compromised on our management team now.
That's right.
there'd be good crack going. There'd be good crack going if it was Gart. Certainly, that'd be so special. And we played them earlier on in the year in a challenge match, and I think we won it by a few points. It was that we had a couple of games played, and it was Gart's very first match, so they were only getting the pipes open, and we played them up in Kilbacon. But they've improved a lot as the year has gone on. Gart have improved a lot, and they're coming strong now. But if Tulla and Gart, it would be an immense occasion.
There's no doubt about that. But Terence, again, apart from the hurling itself, you know, what the pride of East Clare and beyond last Saturday, and what it has done, you know, it has revitalised the place. You know, has given it, you know, even in these dark evenings, there's still so much life around the place, and it's great when, you know, people attach onto a team, a great team, what they have done for so much. But, you know, this victory goes even far wider than just the secondary school itself.
It does. I suppose it has been going on a while. The campaign has been going on a while, and there has been bits of drama here and there in the campaign, and people became interested in our team, you know, for loads and loads of reasons, and then a crowd started to follow it, and they're the type of team that if you went to see them one day, you'd certainly be making sure you were there the next day, and you'd be bringing a few more with you, and that's what has happened. And look, it's a sleepy time of the year. It's January and February, and there isn't a whole pile on for people, so people kind of gravitate into it, and they get kind of interested in it. And there's a huge groundswell of support behind the team, and there's a huge interest in the team. And I think I was talking to people in different places, but there are people who mightn't necessarily be that interested in hurling, but they're interested in this story because there's a lot in it, I suppose.
Yeah, and of course, you as well. There's normally cheerleaders at American football, but I see we have 3 young cheerleaders, new cheerleaders from Whitegate, getting well used to the scene. And look, it is great for the family as well, Terence.
Yeah, and I suppose the bonus there is that the matches take place on a Saturday, so you know families can go, and it's, you know, the Harty Cup matches in the past, you know, they normally on Wednesdays, but the knockout matches recently they're all on Saturdays. So yeah, sure, everybody is. Yeah, the kids love it, and their cousins love it, and sure. There was a huge level of support there from Whitegate the weekend. And, you know, they're coming from. You know, it's that type of a team, and it's that type of a kind of a voyage, and people are just interested in it, and yeah, it's a bit stirring, you know, and people like that sort of thing, and sure we like considering what we're after coming out of, and the restrictions that have been placed on people. Sure, there's a bit of a pure and simple, honest buzz about the thing, and.
I tell you, Micheál Martin knew the time to lift the restriction, because I tell you, East Clare has just gone wild in the last month, and plenty more to do as well.
You couldn't put a price on as you said, kind of half referred to there, Terence, on putting a really massive smile on people's faces in dark enough old time of the year, and maybe Clare hurling hadn't been anything to maybe get too excited about in recent times. So look at putting that smile on people's faces all over the county and on social media, and as with the groundswell, it's something you'd all appreciate a lot more to say down the line in the future. You've enough to think about now. But look at Terence, it was fantastic, and as I said, it's hard to put it into words, but you've done a fair job putting it into words anyway. And look at the story isn't over, so that's the really good thing.
Yeah. Thanks, God.
That's it. Terence Fahy, as always, it's a pleasure to talk to you here on Scariff Bay Community Radio, winning manager of the Harty Cup winning champions of 2022, and we wish you the very best of luck in the upcoming All-Ireland series. Thanks a million, Terence.
Thanks a lot, lads.
God bless, Terence.
Thanks a lot, lads.
And once again, thanks to Terence Fahy for taking the time to talk to us here on Scariff Bay Community Radio. And look at even the hurling. The hurling is going very well over in Tulla at the moment. But let's not forget that there's the Athletics Club is making big noises over there as well. A very successful Athletics Club and a very, very busy Athletics Club, and tremendous success on and off the track. And now we're joined by a man who's very central to all that for Tulla Athletics. It's Eugene Conlon. Eugene, you're welcome once again to Scariff Bay Community Radio.
Thanks very much, Leo.
Eugene, look at I suppose with the hurling is taking all the limelight at the moment, but at the back, at the scenes, behind the scenes, athletics is getting very, very strong, and you know the new track is over there, and a lot of new members, and Tulla Athletic Club more alive than it ever was.
Yes, I think definitely the track has brought a new momentum to it altogether, and we have far more members now, and you know, ones that are serious about competitive running, and athletes that are coming in just to keep fit and for the joy and the fun of it. And it's it's going really well.
And it's all ages, Eugene. There's no barrier.
Oh, there's no barriers. It's all ages, all ages and all abilities. Really, that's what we cater for.
And Eugene, you know, it's in a tremendous place as well. You know, just outside the village or the town itself. You know, it's a tremendous facility. You know, for any place to have, and you know, as even all are welcome.
All are welcome, and as you just said about it being just so close to the town, and the footpath to connect it into the town is supposed to be going in now soon in during this year. So hopefully that will make it very accessible for people just walking. If they don't, you know, if they just want to walk out from the village and have a walk or a jog around the track, it would make it very accessible.
Eugene Pat here, and first of all, congrats on your success recently, but also on your fabulous new facility, which I'd like to hear more about maybe shortly. But, you know, there's a great tradition, as we know, of athletics in Tulla, and maybe which you so deeply involved yourself. Do you find, have you found at times that it can be a struggle to keep membership up and to keep things going, or does the fact that you've such a positive membership and athletes there around the area, it's easy to stay going? Is it a struggle at times, what I'm asking?
It is always a struggle at times, I suppose. If you look at, I suppose, athletics wouldn't be as popular a sport as more team sports like hurling and camogie or soccer. But there has been a great tradition in Tulla, and I suppose we came to the stage that we had either to continue and get facilities so that to continue that great tradition, or really we would have folded up. Because you have to have facilities nowadays for young people to train, and our new facilities are fantastic, really, and it has brought out many more young members and members of all ages and all abilities, really.
Which is exactly what you want, yeah. And just
exactly
on that, and maybe briefly, Eugene, you know, it's fantastic, and we know it's been developed continually, but how can you tell us how it's come about in a brief way? You know, how much work was, I know the amount of work was into it, but you know, getting the land and getting it set up and getting the finances, you know, in brief, how was that done?
Well, I suppose we started with a small committee, 5 of us that became the trustees. There was Thomas Burns, Michael Minogue, Paul Caulfield, Brian Killu and myself were the 5 committee members and are the 5 trustees of the property. And when we purchased it, I suppose by the time we had completed the sale agreement, the purchase agreement, it was 2015, and we looked for planning then for to do the track and dressing rooms and a sports hall. And you know, it went on from there, then getting grants and getting in contractors to do the work and doing a lot of voluntary work, getting different ones to do voluntary work in it as well. And I suppose fundraising is the big issue, always the hardest thing. And Padder Green and Keith McInerney came on board to help us with the fundraising, and they started the Euro Millions Lotto, which has been a very good success now.
Well, Eugene, before Leo comes back in, I mean, any of us in our parishes involved in any projects, as everybody nearly is, we know exactly how much work goes into a major project like that. So, it's tremendous credit to all of you, and I just hope that, you will get the support that you really, really deserve, and I'm sure you are getting it.
Oh, we are, definitely, because I think, you have to put your best foot forward, and when people see things are being done, they will come on board with you. I suppose it's like the film years ago, Build It and They Will Come. That's what it basically is, but you have to put in the big effort first. It's easier now to get people to come on board.
There's no doubt about it. But even following on from that, Eugene, the fact that the facilities are there, there is tremendous, that's off the track. On the track, there has been tremendous performances from the athletes as well. And I know there's a lot of promising athletes over there at underage who are doing very, very well. And also, your senior athletes are also competing at the highest level also, Eugene.
Yes, we had great success there last Sunday with the women's 4x200 relay team, and they finished second in the Munster Championship, Indoor Championship, which was a fantastic achievement. And the team was Kate Lynch, Roisin Ambrose, Sinead Conlon and Leo O'Keefe, and they just put in a fantastic performance. And also we had David Meehan finish fourth in the senior 1500 metres, which was a fantastic achievement as well.
And Eugene, do they qualify now to go on to All-Irelands after that?
Well, you can. It's up to yourself if you want to enter in the All-Irelands. I'm not sure whether they're going to do that. The standard at All-Ireland would be
rather high.
Very high. It would, yeah, it would. There's no doubt about it. It would.
And going back to the training for these girls and for the use of the track, how many nights a week, Eugene, is the track open, shall we say? Obviously it is open, people can use it anytime, but how many nights is it busy, shall we say?
On I suppose Saturday mornings at 10:30 is our big training day, and that's really mostly juveniles from 7 years of age up to teenage years. But on Mondays and Wednesdays then we have two different groups. At 7 we have the younger age groups, and at 7:30 then we have adults. And our senior men and senior women that would be competing in competitions train there together, and it's fantastic that they're pushing each other and helping each other out in the training. And we also then have a group of people that are really just are just doing it for the fun of it and just to keep fit. And Valerie Hogan actually put in a great effort to start that up, and it is very successful.
And come here, Eugene, as a question out to you, what is the total membership of the athletic club at the moment? As you were saying, it has been a struggle, and rightly so. You had to make the move, either put in the track or close it down. What is the membership of Tulla Athletic Club at the moment?
The membership, for this year's membership is just been taken now, but we would aim to have members between 125 and 150 this year. That would be between all age groups.
That's a high membership, in fairness.
Excellent, yeah.
That is very high now. That would be, I'd say, as high as ever it was, I'd say, or probably at its highest, really. And they would come from Tulla, obviously, and all the surrounding parishes and areas.
Eugene, just a question there that I'm wondering about, because again, we all know what it involves to be, running a sports club and so many sports going on for kids. Is it a help or a hindrance that so many of the underage people are involved in hurling and camogie, even up to adult level? Or do you find that one complements the other? People will join the athletics club because they want to be fit with the hurling, or do you find there's the clash sometimes and the team sports comes first? Is it a help or a hindrance that they're involved in so many sports, or maybe and not sticking solely with athletics?
Yes, well, you could say it is a hindrance if they're not fully committed to the athletics, ahead of all other sports. But really, that's not what we're looking for in young people, because we really believe that young people should be doing as many sports as possible. And team sports are really important. Yeah. And whereas athletics, I suppose, is more an individual sport, and I think it is, for the development of any young child, I think it is really important that they take part in team sports.
And that's the whole key. Well said. Yeah,
it is the whole key to it. But then that there are a lot of people that can combine 2 or 3 different sports and can do quite well with them. I know if they get to county standard and they're making counties at senior level, especially in either any team sport, you can't expect them to commit to athletics. But definitely any sports people that are competing at club level should be well able to compete at different sports. And I would actually like to see more, especially senior adults, that are doing well at either hurling or camogie, to also do that bit of athletics, and it would keep them fit in their off-season times. And I suppose years ago it was a lot easier to do it, because there was always a kind of a hurling season or a soccer season, and then there was an athletic season in the winter time. But now all sports go full blast all year round. But it's still possible, especially at club level, because I know commitment at club level can be very high, but it's still another way of training and another way of relaxation and another sport to be involved in.
And Eugene, before we let you go, are you giving out the call there, for people from other parishes around to make use of the facility in Tulla and maybe come over and take an interest and join the athletics club?
Exactly. And even if they don't think that they're going to be, competing competitively all the time, that, just to give it a try, and especially for relay teams. We did also very well. We were in the mixed cross-country relay there last October. We were second in Munster. And, that was a fantastic achievement as well. And it's great to get teams out, rather than, it's very hard to, we have some great performances in the individuals, and even individuals. Last weekend we had Zoe Quinn won the Munster under 13 high jump, or under 14, sorry. And, we have great individual achievements, but for the athletes that would be interested in competing but not giving it their full commitment, there are always the relay teams that they could take part in, and it would take a huge commitment to even win individually at county or Munster level. But if you take in a team event, and particularly the relays, it would be a great chance for athletes to try it out.
Yeah, so there's room for all, and the call is there for anybody to have a go. And Eugene, it's been a pleasure to talk to you here on Scariff Bay Community Radio. Congratulations on your success so far, and congratulations with the facility that you have in place, and continued success in the future for yourself and all at Tulla Athletic Club. Eugene Conlon, thanks a million.
Thanks, Eugene.
Thanks very much, Leo, and thanks, Pat.
Great to have you.
Look, like to wish all our players the very best of luck at the weekend. Also wish all our colleges players the very best of luck in whatever colleges competition you're taking part in, whether hurling, camogie or whatever it is. We wish you all the very, very best on that. And look, that concludes our Sportsline show here today on Scariff Bay Community Radio in association with their credit union on 88.3 FM and 92.7 FM. My thanks once again to co-presenter Pat McNamara. Thanks to our guests, special guest Colin Crehan, of course our newly crowned Harty champions captain and manager Ronan O'Connor and Terence Fahy, and also to Eugene Conlon of Tulla Athletic Club. My thanks also to Jim Collins in the control tower for keeping the ship afloat here once more today, and thanks to all of you for tuning in. All that remains is for me to your dial. Until we meet again, it's Bannock Day, August Lawn.